Apparently we're live, Nev.
Are we? I've not had any push notification at all.
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, here we go.
Excuse me,
Yes.
we are live.
Lovely.
Yes. We are live.
Excellent. Very good. Haven't got any audio from Nick, though, at the moment.
Nick, you...
Oh, he's gone away again. Oh, well, never mind.
Right, so if everyone in the YouTube chat room could tell us what the audio is like, that would be handy.
It couldn't be any worse than last week. It was disgusting, wasn't it?
Yeah, if you could let us know what me and Nev sound like, that would be very much handy indeed, very muchly, wouldn't it,
Yes.
Mr. Bones?
Tanya says, sounds good. Presumably
good.
she means the technical quality, not the content, I would imagine. Richard Adams says, good. Right, we're in business.
Yeah, we're in business.
Excellent. Very good.
Yeah, you can just see me, me models and my plane tags.
Oh,
Richard
Okay.
E. Flagg would appreciate that top
Oh,
shelf
yes, he
there
would,
with all
wouldn't
the
he? Yes.
tags on.
yeah.
Although, like I was saying to Nev earlier, family, I need to paint this door here.
Mm.
Do you think I should paint that black, Nev, to match the tiles, or do you think
Could
I should
do.
put, or should you
Well-
reckon I could put the black tiles on the door?
Oh,
Save
you could
paint
do.
there.
Yes. Still no audio from Nick at the moment. Is that your fault, Carlos?
No, that's
Nick's fault.
Nick. Yeah,
All right. Okay.
yeah.
No problemo. No problemo. No problemo. Well, we've got to do the medical half hour first anyway, haven't we? Just to...
Carlos a tad quiet compared to Nev. That's probably because I need to do that, or actually I could turn my mic up. To be fair, hold on, people. Excuse me. Right, how's that, everyone? Is that better from me with the microphone there? Let me know. Send us a postcard. Send us a picture. Is that better? Ace Airstream.
I think it sounds nice. But I'm not listening to
Thank
it.
you, Dirk. Sounds like it's raining outside.
Well, that would not surprise me. It's certainly raining here. Yeah.
Oh, marvellous.
Can you hear me?
Not what you want.
Can you hear me?
Very
Very quiet,
slightly.
Nick.
Very quietly, yes.
How about now?
Very quiet.
Still quiet.
Still quiet? Still quiet? Still quiet?
Very quiet. Is it because your mic...
I don't know if it's not detecting the mic again.
No,
Oh, no, not again.
not that.
Oh.
Well, shall we start, Carlos?
Yep. Are
be,
we ready to go, are we?
Appropriate time, yes.
Okay, let's get things ready to rock and roll then.
Yep. Off you go.
Off we go. Well, hello and welcome to episode 532 of the Plain Talking UK podcast. I'm Carlos, and in this week's show, Do you like carrying hand baggage? Well, one airline can help with that. We take a look at pilot salaries, and one airline kicks up a right stink. In the military news this week, it's OAP B52s and drones upsetting the grey stuff. So joining me this week across the fields and dales of the UK, it is of course my fellow co-host on the show, Neville Bones. Hi Nev.
We should have a sort of a medical roundup of how everybody is doing and all that sort of stuff, because you've had the old COVID, haven't you? So are you feeling any better at all?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, Nev. It's that thing with COVID when you've had it and you get that cough during COVID, and at the end of COVID, the cough just stays and stays and stays forever.
Yeah, horrible, isn't it? Horrible. Well, it's 3 weeks today since I broke my leg, and things are improving, actually. Although, if you look at the internet, which you should never do for medical items, by the way, just turn off your internet. If you did look at the internet for a broken leg, or the bit where I've broken it, some of it said, or 50% of the internet says, whatever you do, don't put any weight on it for the first 6 weeks. The other 50% says, make sure you put some weight bearing on it in the first 6 weeks. So I'm sort of half and half with that, really. But I've got my appointment through for the 10th of January, which is when I go back for my assessment. So hopefully they're going to say that it's mended itself, or it's going in the right direction at least anyway. But you never quite know with this stuff, do you? So I'm just being extremely careful around the house so I don't do any more damage to it. Mrs. Nev is being extremely patient with me at the moment as well, I have to say, because anything I do that might take half an hour, it now takes an hour at least. So it's a bit of a nightmare, really. But anyway, that's the medical bit out of the way. So
I'll tell you what, Nev, imagine if you were your usual busy self with the flying and the travelling and the flying and the travelling and all the stuff. God, what would you have done?
I wouldn't be going anywhere, basically. It's really debilitating. And I can't complain too much because, there's people with far greater real disabilities. I've just got a broken leg, which is a bit of a nuisance, but there we go. The thing is, we all take our bodies for granted. And as Mrs. Nev would say to me, Nev, remember, your body is a temple, not a multi-storey car park. And that's a reasonable thing for her to say, I think. But yeah, so you've just got to do everything in slow motion. It's I don't want to do any damage, because obviously with my retirement coming up in February and my last exhibition for the company in Barcelona coming up at the start of February, I want to make sure I'm fit for that. So it's a bit tricky, but it could be a lot worse, let's be honest. So we'll see how it goes.
God, we're all up against the walls on the run-up to Christmas.
Well, there's a lot of it about. I mean, everybody I speak to has either got COVID, had just had norovirus, got the flu. The whole lot is, this is what happens when you relax from work, thinking, oh, thank goodness for that. And then your immune system goes, not quite so quick. Yeah. A surprise for you.
So have we got a Nick back yet? Is he managed to regain?
No, he's having some audio issues in the Devon area, which I think is where he is.
Well, he was having some internet issues earlier on this week and today.
So what we'll do, I think, is when he comes back on, then we'll plough on and see how we get on. But
this is our last live show of this year. We have, obviously, as you all know, as Nev was just saying, we've all been either ill, injured, or flying, if you're Armando. So we are probably going to put a special show together for Christmas time this year to play out over Christmas. We're probably going to have a break Christmas Day, because our next live show would be Christmas Day, essentially, if we were going to do a live show. So we're going to miss Christmas Day this year. Because we've just been so flat out with being ill that we haven't had a chance to put together a Christmas show this year like we normally would do, which is unusual for us because we have done religiously done a Christmas show every year since we've been doing this podcast. But this year it's been one of those years. But we're going to put a best of show together, which is going to go out the week after next, so that'll be good.
Yeah.
If you have any video feed or video messages or anything you want to send to us, usual means we'll have the details at the end of the show as always. But if you want to send us a video or anything, any video messages to the team, we will play those out on that show, and we look forward to that. But
now, in the meantime, Nick has actually rejoined us, so can we hear you, Nick?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
you're a little bit quiet, Nick. A little bit
If you can
quiet.
turn yourself up a bit, but
How about if I sit a little bit closer to the mic? How's
that's
that?
more like it. Brilliant.
Excellent. Good stuff.
How are you, mate? Anyway, good to see
Yeah,
you.
not too bad, thanks. It's good to see you all. It's been several weeks. I've had a bit of had to relocate to my B studio this evening due to internet issues at home. So I was actually on holiday last week, and I thought, well, I'll turn everything off while I'm away, including the router, and apparently the router didn't like being turned off, and now it doesn't work anymore. So I don't have any internet at home at the moment, so that's a bit frustrating.
Rule one of electrical equipment: never turn it off.
Yes.
It's always that. I used to have a customer. This is a bit of a moot point, but I used to have a customer that said to me, "Oh, Nev, we're going to do a power cycle on the building this coming Friday." And I said, "Oh, that's interesting. Have you got anything important happening on Monday?" "Oh, yeah, it's a massive event, town hall, CEOs flying in from Dallas. I'm going, could I just tell you, say something to you, don't even think about turning stuff off or doing a power cycle, because that thing that's worked perfectly for 5 years probably won't come back up again. So leave it on is my advice."
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, good to see you, mate. Thanks for coming.
Well, what it does mean is that actually in the last week I've been on an aeroplane. That never happens. So so just had a little trip down to Tenerife with Jet2, which was very nice on a couple of their very nice newish 737s, which were very pleasant, I have to say. So good service actually.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that. I've not flown Jet2, but all people that I know that have flown Jet2 have said how good it is.
Yeah,
Very
they were
nice.
really good actually. Very good service. Really nice staff, very well organised. Recommended actually. The only hiccup was a delay on the way out because a couple of individuals decided that they'd have a little scrap in the bus from the gate. Bearing in mind that the flight was leaving at 8:30 in the morning, so if it was alcohol induced, they had an early start at it. But
You wouldn't get that on BA, you see. What you would get is an argument between passengers and the crew going, "Excuse me, I think you'll find that he's got more caviar than I have." We don't do fighting on BA.
Yeah, well, luckily it was all very calm on board, and I have to say it was a really nice modern aircraft for both legs actually. Very nice. Although I think I'm going to have to say, coming back into Bristol on Monday night, it's what you might call a Navy landing.
Oh yes.
And sitting right at the back as well. It definitely came down with a bit of a thump. So
the runway at Bristol's not that long, is it, if I recall correctly? So you've got to put it down in the touchdown zone, as Captain Al would say, no pussyfooting around trying to make it smooth. So
yes, I think that was it actually, because I did notice that we were very hard on the brakes. And then as we turned off, sort of thinking, oh, he's taking the high-speed exit. Oh, no, there's the end of the runway.
That's the end of the runway.
So that was it. I think any further and we'd have been in the long-term parking zone. But,
wow.
Yeah. So, it was a bit firm.
But... Dirk S. in the chat rooms asks you, were you affected by the storm there at all?
Yes. So Dirk flew in the day before I came home. I understand that he may have been a little unwell, unfortunately, due to some bumpy weather on the way down there. Yeah, on the last night that we were there, it was very, very windy indeed. I did actually think that we were going to have our flight delayed or even cancelled because the weather was due to continue into the day that we flew home. But actually, as it turned out, it was okay, and it cleared up nicely. And waiting to get on board the aircraft on Monday, it was 26 degrees and glorious sunshine, and I have to confess I didn't really want to come home.
No, I'm not surprised.
So we've not got a Nick's passenger experience then to to bring.
No, not on this occasion. I was
No.
too busy enjoying the Pinots. Yeah, thought I'd take a leaf out of Nev's book there.
Yeah. Well, good to see you on board as always, Nick. And you may notice that obviously Matt Smith is missing this week. He's out having a jolly somewhere. I don't know where he is this week, having a jolly. Andy is, I think Andy's either in the sim or he's flying or doing some kind of training. He's been very quiet this week, hasn't he, Nev, as our Andy? But hopefully they'll be back in the new year with a full complement of team members. But we're going to say hello to everyone in the chat room who's joined us for tonight's show. Let's have a look. Top of the list this week, Mazouz. Hello to you, Mazouz. Hoping that we're both better. I think we are feeling better, Nev, aren't we? Richard Adams, hello to you. We've got Ace Airstream. Hello to you, Ace. Richard E. Flag, as always, Richard, some awesome pictures this week on the Facebook page. We've got, scrolling down, Captain Cruz is in there. Dirk S is in there. Hello to you, Dirk. Tanya, hello, Tanya. The lovely Tanya's in there, keeping everyone in check, I expect, in there. We've got Masha. Hello to you, Masha. Hope you're well. We've got, scrolling down, David M says, Merry Christmas to you all. Thank you, David M. It's very kind of you. Good to see you in there. Captain Cruz says, if you ever need a new co-host, then Dirk and myself will volunteer. Do you know what? I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll organise a show in the new year, Dirk, and we'll have you guys on as some super subs for a show. We'll get that work. Nick, note that one down in the books, will you? He's not there. Nick's disappeared. Nev's
here. Sorry, I was on mute.
He was on mute. There we go.
Apologies.
Right, so we've got loads of stuff to get through on the show tonight, our last live show before Christmas. So hope you enjoy the show this week. But it's time to do some commercial news. So if all the team's ready.
Yep, absolutely.
Let's go.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your seats and fasten your seatbelts.
So the first news story this week comes to us from metro.co.uk, and Airline offering same-day baggage delivery for passengers who prefer not to carry luggage. Now, I'd imagine that Nev is probably going to be a big fan of this. One of the worst parts of travelling is dealing with luggage after waiting for what feels like an eternity at the carousels, hoping for it to arrive. Then you're left dragging it to your hotel. Now, one major airline is offering travellers the chance to skip the hassle altogether with a baggage-free service. Japan Airlines has launched same-day baggage delivery service for passengers arriving at Tokyo's Haneda Airport. For 4,500 yen, or 23 quid per bag, travellers can have their luggage transported from arrivals to the lobby of their hotel in Tokyo. The service prevents passengers from dealing with Tokyo's busy air transport network and aims to alleviate congestion in the city. Passengers do not need to fly with JAL to use the service, and it's available to both international and travellers and Japanese residents as well. The airline guarantees same-day delivery and covers 14 districts throughout Tokyo, including lots of names that I can't pronounce, but a lot of those will go Toshima, Bunkyao, Sumdia, Chao, Shidoya, Shinjawa, and Shinjuku. Nev's giving me a funny look here. I can see him on the camera. However, the service is limited to hotel drop-offs only, meaning all passengers staying at Airbnbs, private homes, rented apartments or other accommodations will not be able to use it. The service is available daily at Haneda's Airport's Terminal 3 arrivals between 4 and 6 p.m. And for customers who check in with the service before 4 p.m. local time, their luggage will be delivered at the hotel by 8 p.m. If travellers check in before or between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m, their bags will arrive by 10 p.m. that day. Upon arriving, JL website tells travellers to scan 2D barcodes at the JL ABC counter located in the lobby to make a reservation and payment for the service. They should then collect the baggage sticker from the issuing machine, attach it to their suitcase and check it in at the counter. And their luggage will then be delivered straight to their hotel. The baggage-free travel service from Haneda Airport aims to address social issues such as congestion in public transportation and the shortage of storage lockers, providing a more convenient travel experience for tourists, the airline said in a statement. And Nev, imagine yourself, you're travelling, obviously, as you do. Mind you, you've only normally got your carry-on suitcase, your small suitcase, I'd imagine, most of the time. But is this a service that would interest you at all for 23 quid?
I think it might actually, because those areas that were mentioned, or you tried to mention, in Japan are extremely congested, I would imagine. So I think that's worth doing. Definitely. If you know that you can drop stuff off and, within your check-in time and all the rest of it, I think it's worth it. Definitely. Because it's, I've only been to Japan once. That was 1996, I think it was. And yeah, it was busy there. I checked into Tokyo's main airport, actually, yes. Yeah, it was hectic. So I think that's if that it alleviates some congestion, then so much the better.
Yeah, a few comments in the chat room, Nev. We've got one from David M. says, where was that company who used to let you rent clothes at your destination so you didn't pay the baggage fees? It's not a bad idea. Yeah. Dirk S. says, I think Japan is the only country in the world he'd trust to pull that off perfectly in time. And then David M. follows up with, better than saying goodbye to your luggage forever. But because didn't you a year ago, Nev, that you and Mrs. Nev went abroad and you had a slight issue with late luggage arriving at your destination?
Yeah, 3.5 days late on a 1-week holiday to Faro, Portugal. So at that point, I thought, I'm going to buy an AirTag or two, which I did. So from that moment on, at least I can see if my luggage has not made it onto the plane. Doesn't actually help you get it any quicker, probably, but at least it tells you where stuff is. And that segues quite nicely into the next story, doesn't it? Because this is on the macdailynews.com, and it says, in a move to streamline baggage handling, IAG Group, British Airways owner, has integrated Apple AirTags into its operation. The technology is expected to enhance efficiency and expedite the return of lost luggage. IAG has switched on the location sharing tool across all of its carriers, including Iberia and Aer Lingus. The group's head of innovation, Annalisa Gigante, said in an interview, we can see exactly where everything is and reunite passengers with bags as quickly as possible, she said. The added service was made possible in November when Apple allowed iPhone users to share the location of their AirTags. The technology company said then that more than 15 airlines, including BA, would begin using the new feature, including Delta Airlines, Deutsche Lufthansa, and Singapore Airlines. Passengers with lost luggage containing an AirTag can share a location link to airlines, which then look for the bag through their own systems. The link expires after 7 days or when the item is returned to the passenger. Like the idea of that, however, BA and IT systems are not a happy marriage very often, and today's another example of it. Just as I started to move things around, the whole of the BA booking system went down this morning, on all the online stuff anyway, on the app-based stuff. So I phoned the gold line, so we get a dedicated number for me to call, which is very nice, and they do answer it really quickly, and they said, we can't even log in, so what chance have you got? So give us a call tomorrow, see how you get on. But no, going back to the AirTags thing, I think this is an enhancement, definitely. What do you think, Nick? Is it an improvement, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea, actually. I mean, I've been using one myself for a couple of years. I actually use it as a sort of a a cheapskate version of a tracker on one of my motorbikes. But yeah, and I must admit I was tempted to sling it in my suitcase when we went away, but I figured, well, actually, I was only going to be away for 5 days, so by the time I got my luggage back, if it did get lost, I probably would have gone and bought some new clothes anyway. But yeah, I think it's a really good idea, and I think it's really good that Apple have cottoned on to the fact that you can kind of roll this functionality out to other people, so that other people are able to use it in a really useful way. So good on them.
No, definitely. I may have said this before, but certainly when what I call the Faro incident happened, there were people who were in the same boat as us who did have air tags on their baggage, and they explained to the luggage handling people that, in fact, their luggage was still at Terminal 3 at Heathrow. Right. But the luggage people at the airport going, no, it's going to come on the next carousel any second now. And it was pointed out, unless they could be hyperspaced, the couple of thousand miles between Heathrow and Faro, that probably wasn't going to be possible. And sure enough, of course, there you go. But at least you know that you haven't got your bag, and that's something, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's that thing, isn't it? It's better to have bad news than no news.
Yeah.
And actually allow yourself to be sort of better informed, I suppose.
Yeah. In fact, actually, in our company, we use them in our Peli cases for all our demo kits as well, as they go around the country, and quite often they get couriered around. So it's useful to put them in those sorts of things as well. So, yeah.
Just looking at a comment in the chat room, Nev, Dirk S says, we used AirTags on our flight on Sunday and plan to keep doing this. Really welcome the possibility to integrate it with airlines.
Yeah, I think that's a great shout. Very good.
Yeah. Right. Now, Nick, hopefully your audio is still there and you can take the next story where we're heading off. We're heading off to Canada.
Yes, over to Canada. So this story comes from flightglobal.com, and it is Air Canada to offer free Wi-Fi in 2025. So Air Canada is set to become the latest North American airline to offer free Wi-Fi access to passengers, disclosing on the 12th of December plans to begin rolling out the service in May. The Montreal-based airline says that the service will initially be available on aircraft flying within North America on routes from Canada to warm weather destinations, which include those in the Caribbean and Mexico. Free in-flight Wi-Fi is becoming more common in North America and is now offered by US carriers Delta Airlines, JetBlue Airways and Hawaiian Airlines. Air Canada competitor Porter Airlines also provides free Wi-Fi on its Embraer 195s. The service is free only to customers who sign up for Air Canada's frequent flyer program Aeroplan. The satellite-based service will be provided by Intelsat, which Agogo acquired on the 4th of December. Initially, Wi-Fi will be free on 85% of the airline's fleet, Air Canada says, and it eventually intends for what it says most of its aircraft to have the service, presumably due to possible limitations within the airframes, I guess, whether or not they're able to install it. That goes for Air Canada's mainline operation, its in-house discount Air Canada Rouge operation, and regional aircraft operated by partner carriers under the Air Canada Express banner, including de Havilland Canada Dash 8 400 turboprops. Plans to complete certification and installation of Wi-Fi connectivity on Q400 aircraft is targeted to begin in 2025, with planned completion of a first phase by year end, the airline says. Air Canada says aircraft operating long-haul international flights will have the free connectivity in 2026. So
I put a note there, Nick.
Yeah, some discussion about whether or not the additional weight to the aircraft with the hardware that's required for it. Yeah, I mean, the devices themselves are reasonably sizable. They probably actually create a little bit of an additional fuel burn, I would expect as well, because it's essentially you're adding a bit of a bump to the top of the fuselage, and what you've got in essence is kind of like adding a little roof box on the car, really, where you've got a satellite receiver antenna. So essentially it'd be a bit like one of the, the sort of rectangular Starlink type receivers that you might have seen. And that's in a kind of aerodynamic fairing that goes on top of the fuselage. So, yeah, I'd have thought weight-wise, it's probably reasonably negligible, less than a passenger. But yeah, it's probably going to add a couple of % to the fuel burn. But yeah, they are going to want to recoup that cost, aren't they? I would imagine that they might. They'll probably go down the route of, if you're using the in-flight Wi-Fi, you have to look at adverts, but also it kind of channels you down the route of trying to get you to spend money while you're on board the aircraft by buying food and drink and duty free and all the usual shenanigans.
What do you think, Nev?
Yes, I think the thing is that people are kind of expect it now as well. And there's a lot of. I was on a couple of new BA A320s a few weeks ago, and they didn't have Wi-Fi on at all. That's because these ones are retrofitted after they come out of the factory in Toulouse, and they hadn't been done yet. But yeah, people kind of do expect it now. So I think even with a cost associated with it. And you have to pay a bit more for your ticket, perhaps, as well. I think people really want it. Yeah, definitely.
Right, moving on to the next one. And this is from bristolpost.co.uk. And millions of Ryanair, EasyJet and British Airways passengers warned of a £65 fine this Christmas. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? More than 4.7 million Brits, I should say, are expected to hit the skies during the Christmas and New Year period for December. But travel experts at an airport transfer company are warning them that bringing Christmas gifts to the airport can incur hundreds of pounds worth in checked baggage charges for breaking airline check-in rules. Whilst most travellers are aware that the 10-item or 100 millilitre liquid and electronic hand luggage restrictions, many Brits may not realise these rules apply to Christmas gifts, even if they're wrapped. The rule in force for all domestic and international travellers means one simple Christmas gift could result in a checked bag charge. They could even face losing the gift if it's more than 100 ml in size or the gift box contains multiple items, including contributing to the maximum of 10 items. As 22.5 million Brits visited family or friends abroad last year, travel experts and commercial director of luxury transport company SCS Chauffeurs, Hadley Diamond, has shared the do's and don'ts of travelling abroad with Christmas presents. Hadley said airlines are cracking down on baggage allowances and checked luggage fees. It can add up quickly, especially when budgets are stretched by the rising costs of living. If you're travelling abroad with Christmas presents this year, packing up is smart and essential. Without careful planning, valuable gifts like bottles of alcohol, perfumes over 100 millilitres, or even beautifully wrapped gift sets of travel-safe items could be confiscated by airport security or face an airport check-in fee of up to £65 per person. Fortunately, there are plenty of ways you can pack smart this holiday season, like avoiding heavy items and leaving out anything that takes up unnecessary space. So, how much extra baggage costs you? With our airlines here in the UK, EasyJet £40, Ryanair £65, British Airways £75 to $95, Nev, depending on how they're feeling that day.
Well, it's because you've got your Harrods luggage,
yes.
Probably, yeah.
And Wizz Air, minimum of £48. The worst presents for hand luggage, they say, are beauty gift sets, toy weapons, full-size bottles of alcohol. Well, that'll be a Jet 2 flight. Toys and batteries, and kitchen knife sets. Yes.
Yeah. Can I just hold on a second there? So their summary of this is that you shouldn't take toy weapons or kitchen knife sets as hand luggage. If that's not obvious, I don't know what it is. God.
They offered some tips saying don't wrap presents beforehand. Security may need to inspect items, and unwrapping gifts at the airport can be inconvenient to both you and also those waiting to get their luggage checked, like Mr. Bounds, who will be behind you in the queue. Use gift bags instead of wrapping paper. Great idea. I love the gift bag option. Security checks may require wrap presents to be unwrapped, so offer gift bags to save you time and effort. Check prohibited items lists. Certain gifts like alcohol, aerosols will have restrictions. Also check on the UK Civil Aviation Authority's guidelines website for the rules and what items are prohibited depending on your destination, which is also a very important part as well. So there we go. I think the word or the catchphrase here, Nev, is common sense.
Very true. However, they've got to sort out this 100 milliliter rule business. This is all over the shop at the moment in UK airports, depending on what scanner technology they've got, whether you have to take it out, leave it in, what the restriction is there a restriction? It's very inconsistent across many airports in the UK and some of the bigger ones as well. So Heathrow, you have to take the thing out. In Edinburgh, you leave it all in. So yeah, that needs sorting out, I think, too.
Just looking at David M's comment in the chat room. Nev, can you see that in there?
Yes. He says, I bought my best mate an Uzi 9mm for Christmas. Can't believe how strict they were at Heathrow. Apparently it's not allowed. Who knew?
Also, Captain Cruz is saying, great for airport workers who neither need to buy nor wrap any gifts. That's true. Always makes you wonder, doesn't it? When you go for an airport and you forget and you leave your bottle of, £6,000 aftershave in there, and they take it out and confiscate it. Someone's having a damn good party or raffle at the end of the year with all that stuff.
Well, I can't comment on that, but it makes you wonder, doesn't it? It makes you wonder.
If you're an airport worker and you do have fun with all these things, just let us know. We'd love to hear.
Entirely confidential. We
shan't broadcast it. Yeah. Nick, I'm guessing this didn't affect you, obviously, with your Jet 2 flight because you were too busy piling in the Toblerones into your hand luggage.
I didn't personally bring any Toblerones back, but I did pick up a bottle of cactus gin, which I'm very much looking forward to tucking into.
I mean, I can't stand gin, but it sounds amazing.
Yeah, I was quite taken with the colour of it, so I'm quite looking forward to giving that a try. But yeah, I do feel like I should have tucked a couple of Toblerones in there because I am partial to one of those, as you know.
Going to say good evening to John Jester, joining us in the chat room as well. Hello to you, John. He says, hello from Qingdao in China. Oh, honestly, John always joins us from these extravagant destinations all the time, doesn't he, Nev?
Yes, he is a human world clock, that fella. Yeah. I don't know how he does it. I really don't know, with the time zone differences that he flies across. A bit like our friend Miami Rick on the other channel as well.
Yes.
So, amazing. But, hello, John. How are you?
Now, Nev, you've got the next story, and I picked this one this week, not just because it's a BA story, but it's also something that we were kind of batting around in the group chat earlier in the week about this particular subject.
Yes, it's on aviation2z.com, and it says British Airways, who are run by the International Airlines Group, completed 50 years in March 2024 and remains one of the world's most popular airlines that serves every inhabited continent. British Airways currently employed about 4,000 pilots who are tasked with ensuring smooth operations in and out of its main bases in London, which are Gatwick and Heathrow. BA pays its pilots a base salary and additional pay depending on the hours that they have flown for. This is typically in line with industry standard around the world, and a fresher pilot at BA can expect to be paid approximately £65,000 annually. This amount is generally the starting point for every graduate out of a flying school, though first officer salaries are reasonably higher and range between £100,000 and £120,000. The disparity in salary amongst first officers is caused by a number of factors, particularly those like achievements with the airline, experience and seniority, and flying hours. Captains, meanwhile, are paid up to £167,000 per year. There is a significant variance in this category as well, depending on the types of aircraft that they fly and destination their rosters take them to. Other perks enjoyed by BA pilots, well, they enjoy a retirement age of 65. I'm not saying they enjoy it because it used to be 55 back in the day, but there's been no mandatory pension scheme since the airline's merger with Iberia in 2011, which subsequently gave rise to the IAG. However, there is an optional pension scheme, which is a combination of compensation in which the employer contributes 2% and the employee adds between 7 and 15% of his or her base salary. BA pilots, unlike those working for some other airlines, are not eligible for free tickets for themselves and their families, but last-minute bookings can be made at a 90% discount, whereas flight tickets purchased with their own flexibility carry a 10% discount. Upgrades to the higher classes are also reasonably common, whilst those enticed by the nitty-gritty of the aviation world can occasionally fly short-haul routes in the cockpit's jump seat as well. BA pilots have a powerful union as well, which allows them a very respectable amount of bargaining power in rostering, and there are formal agreements in place which means leave requests are rarely denied and schedules are not changed at short notice too often. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? There's always a lot of talk about pilots' remuneration and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And, we hear quite a lot about unavailability of crews because of strikes and all the rest of it. It's worth remembering that quite a number of years ago, BA crews helped the airline out considerably by not enforcing. I wish we had our union reps, Andy and Captain Al here, but if you go back in time and look somewhere on the internet, I think BA pilots did the company a lot of favours by not insisting on certain salary increases and terms and conditions and all the rest of it. But it's interesting to see what the variance is across the skill sets in the flight deck, isn't it?
It's quite interesting as well now to see the fresher pilot you said there with BA can expect to be paid approximately 65k annually. When you're a junior FO, you've probably already spent that and then some on getting to that, place where you are.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you've probably spent 120k sterling to get that far in the first place. It's another mortgage, really, isn't it? But then the awesome level of responsibility it is just that, isn't it? If you have a captain who's incapacitated or something like that, then it's down to the guy or girl in the right hand seat. So no, it's interesting to see the variance. I wish we had either Al or Andy on who have got a lot of experience in this sort of area, but we'll talk about that another time perhaps.
Your thoughts, Nick, on those pay scales? How do they look to you for that salary?
Well, yeah, I'm thinking for a kind of graduate, that's a very nice salary indeed. But actually, I'm thinking for a captain, that 167 seems quite low to me. But I do think that they probably top it up with, I think they get a kind of a day rate, don't they, that goes on top of that. So I don't know whether the actual sort of final salary might be quite a bit more depending on how many hours you fly. So presumably that would just be a sort of a base rate, and then you'd get more depending on how many sectors you're doing.
One thing as well is the perks thing. I thought the perks would have been a lot better, Nev, with the airline. So I'm pretty sure that a lot of our friends who are pilots in the US, I thought that they get a lot better perks with the job than what our guys do.
Yeah, I mean, I think the same applies here, really, though, Carlos. I think it's all about seniority, and the higher up the scale you are as a senior first officer or captain, the more choice you've got, and especially when it comes to rostering as well. It's really difficult. I mean, just imagine, trying to organise your home life as well when you don't know what you're doing from 1 week to the next. If you've got a roster which is rarely changes, I mean, you'll get the occasional situation where you'll need to be on home standby or airport standby perhaps, but in general terms, roughly where you're going to be and how many nights you're going to be en route and that kind of thing. And that's some people might say that's just as important, if not more important, than the salary itself, because you're putting your whole home life on hold, and if you've got young children at home and that kind of stuff, or kids of any age, it must be quite challenging, I would imagine. I think knowing job certainty and knowing where you're going to be is important too, I think.
Right. Now, Nick, I've got you up for the next story. Now, I've got some audio to play before you read this next story, Nick. But do you want to just tell us where this one's come from?
Well, it's an aviation source that's well known to us all, which is thesun.co.uk, known for their high quality aviation content. And the headline is "Incredible Moment: Boeing Pilot Announces Emergency Landing Over Obnoxious Reek of 100 Pigs on Board, Choking the Cockpit."
Yes, and we're going to play just a little bit of the audio from them transmissions. So fingers crossed, hopefully this will all work.
And this is still not an emergency, correct?
It is not an emergency, it's not even a panic, but there was a lot of obnoxious cargo coming from pigs probably, which may have something to do with the oxygen environment in the cockpit, so that's why I'm diverting. I don't think I need any equipment standing by. Not an overweight landing. We're going to use maximum flap, maximum braking. So probably leave the runway at the end according to my chart. So I'm fine for now.
Okay, and just to confirm, there's live pigs in the cargo hold?
Yeah, and those are probably the starter of the inconvenience, so they have to be uploaded, but we'll see about that later on.
Okay, I'll pass it on to the tower.
Thanks, and sorry for the inconvenience, guys.
No problem, that's what we're here for.
Good, I'm now entering the second hold over Wiener, passing 18,000, descending 3.
Roger. Speedbird 19 November, I know you just joined the frequency here. The reason for...
Got some audio gremlins there. I don't know quite what's going on with the audio there. We've got an echo in the back. I think you managed to hear it okay there. But,
yeah, we got some of that.
Yeah.
So let's just read the story out. So it says the live animals were in the cargo hold of a Dreamliner aircraft, and it ended up overwhelming the cockpit's air supply mid-flight. Audio of the surreal exchange between the pilot and the air traffic control captured the captain calmly explaining the bizarre situation that left 259 passengers and crew stranded in paradise. The KLM Royal Dutch Airlines flight travelling from Amsterdam to Mexico City, that was on Friday, but it was diverted to Bermuda after what the pilot described as obnoxious cargo disrupted the oxygen environment on the aircraft. In a video shared on Instagram, the captain explains to air traffic control he's heard saying, "There's a lot of obnoxious cargo coming from the pigs, probably, which have something to do with the oxygen environment in the cockpit, so that's why I'm diverting." The controller, audibly surprised, asks for clarification, to which the pilot confirms, "Yeah, and those are probably the start of the inconvenience, so they'll probably have to be offloaded." The Dreamliner circled over Bermuda for clearance before landing at L.F. Wade International Airport. There, the 100 pigs were promptly removed from the cargo hold and placed in a secure facility. According to airport officials, the animals are now under the care of a Bermudan government veterinarian. An airport spokesperson said the characteristic smell of 100 pigs in the cargo hold prompted the crew to move to Bermuda for a breather and fresh air. While the pigs were the main culprits of the disruption, their removal wasn't the end of the ordeal. After landing, the crew reached their maximum legal work hours and could no longer operate the flight to Mexico City. This forced passengers and crew to be accommodated overnight in local hotels, delaying their journey by over 24 hours. The flight eventually resumed on Saturday evening, with the Dreamliner arriving in Mexico City in the early hours of Sunday morning. Well, I have to say, these must be some very important pigs to be transporting them by air. I've never heard of that before. I'm a bit surprised that kind of thing is going on, actually. Something that either of you gents have come across before?
Not pigs on flights, no.
No.
Snakes on a plane, but not pigs on a plane.
And pigs in blankets, maybe, but that's
all. That's coming up very soon, next few days.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I know it's important that we have good stocks of bacon to be made available at all times, and that, you know, maybe we should be flying some pigs around with us just to make sure that we've got appropriate supplies on hand. But yeah, that's a new one for me, I have to say. That was a good find there, Carlos.
Yeah, having been someone who worked for a few years helping out on a pig farm locally here in Suffolk, I know just how incredibly smelly that can be to be up close and personal with those, and to the stage where, you know, when you get back from working in the piggery and stuff like that, you'd have to literally just completely wash everything you've worn and bath and shower for that, you know, that whole day. It's not nice. So in that confined confined environment, in a what is essentially, as we always say, an aluminium tube, I'd imagine that build up was fairly good of smell.
I mean, I just feel like we're going to have to do some more research into this, because I still can't get over why there would be flying 100 pigs anywhere. There we go. I'm just, I don't know. There must be something really good about them. Very tasty, obviously.
Right, moving on to the next story. Comes from asnflightsafety.org. Got some pictures as well for this to put up on the screen afterwards. This is pilots made emergency landing at airport after a significant part of plane detached in flight. This is a GA aircraft, this one, just for a change. The aircraft had recently undergone annual checks, and the flight was a general skills test to revalidate the owner's license. The flight was uneventful until the windscreen and skylight shattered without warning shortly after the aircraft recovered from an intentional spiral dive. Startled, both pilots and the inrush of air blew their headsets off, preventing them from communicating verbally. The examiner checked the aircraft was controllable and indicated his intention to return to the airfield, which was approximately 10 miles away. The aircraft owner managed to recover the examiner's headset from the baggage compartment, and he made radio calls to the airfield every 30 to 60 seconds. He used his jacket to shield the microphone against the effects of the wind, and as they got closer to the airfield, they could see the emergency services were prepared for their arrival. The landing was successful, and both occupants were helped from the aircraft, having sustained minor injuries, and no third parties were reported to have been injured. So the conclusion for the accident: the windscreen and skylight shattered during the flight for an unknown reason. The pilots were startled but were successful in alerting the airfield before completing their successful landing. The accident is a reminder of the importance of being prepared for the unexpected and concentrating on maintaining control of the aircraft. Now, going to pop a picture up on the screen here for those of you watching in the world of YouTube. There we go. What do you think of that, Mr. B?
Well, I can't see it at the moment.
Oh, no. There we go.
So
it's on the YouTube. So for those of you watching in the YouTube, you'll see quite what's going on there. With
definitely looks like there's quite a bit of that plane missing.
Yeah, that next picture there is the aircraft in question. Obviously in one piece. You can see it's got the front canopy sort of perspex, I'd say, that is there, which goes over the top of the aircraft, I think over sort of towards the wing spar. But then, as I say, that is what it was like, which if you're an open cockpit flyer, such as Armando, our very own Armando, he's got his biplane, that wind noise, as we've known, because we've seen videos what Armando's sent to us before, can be a bit intrusive on the old headsets, can't it, Nev?
I can imagine. I mean, that's just horrific, isn't it, if you think about it? But also looks really flimsy as well from that other shot, doesn't it? Gosh, that's a big moment. Well, they were slightly injured, but thank goodness they're both okay. That's the main thing. Gosh.
Right, next story, Nev. You were talking about this earlier, so it's a bit of a sort of follow-on from an earlier story.
Yes, the old the liquids in the hand baggage business. It's on bbc.co.uk, the news channel, and it says that new technology means passengers at Cardiff Airport will now be able to leave electronics and liquids under 100 millilitres in their hand luggage as they pass through security. The next generation security scanners are now fully operational at this site. at the airport confirmed following cost-related delays, which saw it fail to meet the UK government's initial 1st of June deadline. Cardiff is one of several airports which applied for an extension to allow it to install the scanners. The Welsh Government, as the sole investor in the airport, previously said it would allocate £6.6 million to address the cost challenges of bringing in the new equipment. Passengers previously travelling through the airport security were required to carry liquids, aerosols and gels in containers up to 100 millilitre in a 1 litre transparent bag and take them out of their carry-on luggage. But now these items can be kept inside bags and cases, which the airport believes will improve efficiency. Its chief executive, Spencer Burns, said this state-of-the-art facility is a significant investment for the growth and future development of our national airport. He added, safety and security is our number one priority. Good. I hope it is. Because we've got to get this sort of rolled out properly across the UK. I think it's just still a mess. Lots of variations on the theme at the moment. I'm pleased to see that another airport has actually got the right equipment to do this with. What did you have at Bristol, Nick? Did you have to take out your liquids and electronics there?
Yes, but I think it was different at Tenerife. So, yeah, I mean, I guess you'd expect different rules in different countries, but yeah, certainly within the UK, there still seems to be some significant, well, I don't know whether it's confusion necessarily, but yeah, there's definitely isn't any consistency at the moment, is there?
No.
And I think that, you know, while we might be critical of people that don't fly as often to not understand the rules, I think you can almost give them a bit of a free pass, given that, yeah, there is that lack of consistency at the moment.
Oh, yeah. I remember when Edinburgh Airport and Heathrow were both owned by BAA, British Airports Authority. So it's actually the same airline group. There was even I'm going back some time now, even variations on the size of zippy bag that you could use as well between the two airports, which was just ridiculous. But of course, don't try and argue with the security guys and girls, because that leads to difficulty and a meeting in a small room usually.
Which you've had, Nev, before. You've had meetings in small rooms.
Yes, I mean that was Dubai, wasn't it? Yes, when I had to explain what my muff was, they were concerned about that.
But the outcome of that was okay. You know, we did get Nev back at the end of the day, so we could continue our travels.
Well, not being funny, mate, but no thanks to you, because you went steaming out of the exit, and I was still in the capable hands of the security fellas who were very keen not to let me go. So yeah.
Did you have to get a pet passport for it, Nev?
Yeah, that's it.
Pet passport. Anyway, from pet passports to nice new engines, geared turbofan engines, Nick.
Yeah, so this one is from airdatingnews.com, and the headline is Airbus A321 XLR GTF engine is certified by the FAA. So the Federal Aviation Administration has issued the certification for the GTF, the geared turbofan, I guess that's Pratt & Whitney, isn't it? 1100G-JM that will be used by Airbus on the A321 XLR. According to the company, the agency updated the engine certification on December the 12th to include an ultra long-range aircraft. This is an important milestone for the GTF engine program, which was the first engine to power the A320neo aircraft family, said Rick Durlow, president of commercial engines at Pratt & Whitney. The GTF uses gear technology to provide a greater economy. This engine also powers Embraer's E2 jets as well as the A220. The FAA's approval paves the way for the type certification of the A321 XLR to take place in the first quarter of 2025. For now, the only A321 XLR with CFM LEAP A1 engines is fit to fly. EASA, the European Civil Aviation Agency, issued the type certificate in July. while the FAA did the same in October. The 321 XLR entered service in November with Iberia. Airbus has not yet delivered any more of the type, although I think I saw something they're delivering one to Iceland Air, I think. But it has at least 5 jets ready for delivery. So according to Pratt & Whitney, there are 217 A321 XLRs on order. Wow, that's a big number. With the GTF engines, with 13 customers, which represents a little less than half of the orders. Pratt & Whitney is also on track to certify the GTF Advantage engine, which will deliver 4 to 8% more thrust at takeoff, while saving about 1% more. The turbofan is expected to be delivered starting late next year. So the PW1100G-JM is an engine developed to inherit the successful V2500 engine program through an international joint effort between 5 companies from Japan, the US, and Germany. It's also a variant of the pure power geared turbofan engines, which produce 11 to 15 tons of thrust. So yeah, I guess that's quite a big deal, because I've got a feeling we're going to be seeing quite a lot of those 321 XLRs.
Yes, absolutely. And no, I mean, it's a good job too, isn't it? But because of the delays, I think Iceland Air are hanging on to their 757s for a little bit longer, from what I was hearing the other day.
Which we're all happy about.
Yes, we don't mind that
definitely
at all. They can keep them for as long as they like.
We do like seeing a 7.5. Yeah, I saw one down in Tenerife, and I have to say it was lovely. It was, it's always a bit sad. You know, you get a bit bored of when you go to a sort of a short haul type airport, and all you're seeing is 320s, 321s, and 737s, and it's just, you kind of get a bit bored.
I'm so glad you said that, Nick. I absolutely agree. You know, when you're watching these streams and stuff, especially the ones from there's one that broadcasts from one of the Balearic Islands. I forget where it is now, Madeira, I think it might be. But you do watch it, and it is literally A320s, 737-800s, A320s, A321, 737-800, 737-800, A3, and do you know what I mean? It's the same. It's nice to have that bit of difference coming in every now and again. Unfortunately, that is going to be phased out coming from Manchester soon. I think they've got 2 left. If my memory serves me well, they've got 2 757s left at Jet2, which they're hanging on to, I think, this year.
They're switching to 321s as well, aren't they? So, yep.
But no, great aircraft. I'm glad that I got the chance to fly them on years ago with Air 2000 on the 757-200 many years ago with those guys. I think it was just Air 2000 was the only airline I flew the 75, or did I go with Thomson? Might have been Thomson when they had the 75s as well originally. But obviously, with Nev being our BA aficionado here, because BA had their 75s, which they used for the Edinburgh charters, Nev, they had those ones on.
Well, yeah, there was the shuttle services, of course, but also they had flexibility, and they took them to Stockholm and further afield as well. The only thing that I would say about the 75, and I can't even believe I'm criticising the 75 at all, so I'm treading a bit carefully. I don't know whether it was the change in air pressure when you were descending, but always on a 75, I would get blocked ears in the descent, and in one case it actually lasted for about a day and a half before it cleared. But I was always struggling with trying to equalise the pressure in my ears as we came out of the top of descent, and I don't think that we were descending any quicker than normal, or whether the pressurisation system wasn't keeping up with the vertical speed of the aircraft. I don't know, but it was only on 75s that I would get that, or BA 75s specifically, because I've never flown on. I did fly on a Delta one once, I think, or maybe Continental perhaps. But yeah, so that was the only thing I would say for me was always a bit of an issue. But apart from that, the takeoff performance of those aircraft.
I was going to say,
even on derated takeoffs, are just unbelievable.
Do you not think, Nev, that the problem you were having with the ears and stuff was the fact that the aircraft descended and ascended so blooming quick?
Well, there was that, yes, I suppose. But I mean, I presume that the descent rate is a normal one. But yeah, obviously, as it took off, I mean, they really did attack the air. I don't know what the actual rate of climb was, but it was substantial, wasn't it? That's for sure. But and what a great sound from those RB211s as well.
Stunning. Yeah. Thanks to Ace Airstream in the chat room, says 3 as they've got. They did a photo shoot last week with the 3 remaining 75s.
Oh.
And if I remember right, I think I did see that on social media, because I think that the 3 out of those 3, one of those is that the ones, Nev, that have that gorgeous silver fuselage, the Jet 2, because the newer ones had that kind of holiday kind of logo kind of thing, which I never really liked. But the silver, lovely, the gunmetal silver that they done on those. So yeah, 3 they've got those left. Captain Cruz is saying in the chat room, had 25 flights on a Boeing 757, and he puts at challenge Nev.
Yeah, that's more than I ever did, Captain Cruz. I think I probably flew 12 sectors, usually, and in fact always between London, Heathrow, Glasgow, Edinburgh, Belfast, and then occasionally to Arlanda in Stockholm as well. But yeah, great aircraft, absolutely brilliant.
Now, just before we move on, you just thought about, because you messaged me in the group chat the other day, Nev, about this, the Iceland Air 75s, and that stunning livery they got with the Northern Lights. That livery they got there, stunning, and I think that looks amazing because that flies out of Manchester quite a lot as well. So yeah, Iceland Air, I think are they phasing their ones out now? I can't remember, Nev.
Yes, they will be. Yeah.
It's a shame. It's a very, and I still strongly believe, in my personal view, that Boeing should have never have gone down the MAX route and should have designed and built a new version of the 757. That's
with some LEAP engines, maybe.
Well, actually, they're probably going to stop with the RB211s, you know.
Well, they got the ground clearance for them, they? That's for sure.
Power,
they wouldn't have the same problem that they've had with the MAX and all the rest of it. But I think probably the accountants wouldn't want to see those RB211s for much longer because of the fuel burn, perhaps. But having said that, of course, at the time, they were extremely efficient, but things have moved on, haven't they? You know? Yeah. A bit like the days when if you were getting 30 miles to the gallon from your car, you thought you were doing very well. But that's considered a bit on the low side now.
Oh, there's Nick thinking about his MPG on the is it the Mercedes you've got, Nick, isn't it?
Yeah, I can kind of get it up into the 40s on a long run, but yeah, it will do the low 30s around town.
Yeah. Right, next story, and finally, last one for this week. The aviationbusinessnews.com this is from, and this is a nice story to end on, I thought, guys. United Airlines UK flight supports disadvantaged kids to go and meet Santa. Children and young people supported by the Honeypot Children's Charity in London enjoyed a special onboard experience at London Heathrow and met Santa at the North Pole, courtesy of United Airlines. The children, many of whom have never been on a plane before, were brought together by the charity through the services it operates across the UK. This year's United UK Fantasy Flight is one of 13 departures around the globe. Employees from United Airlines at Heathrow Airport, including customer service staff and flight attendants, work together to organise the day of adventure at the airport. The United team, with support from charity, collaborated to ensure the magical day for all of the children involved. The 30 children took part in the adventure, boarding the United Airlines Boeing 767-300 aircraft to enjoy festive entertainment and refreshments as well. After fun and games on board, the excited young adventurers were whisked away and had little idea to what to expect when they arrived at the Renaissance Hotel. Father Christmas and his elves welcomed the children into Santa's Grotto for an afternoon of festive fun, which included Christmas lunch and music and unwrapping presents as well. I'm going to pop this on the screen there. There we go, for those of you watching in the world of YouTube. The Fantasy Flights program is the story of how good leads the way for SM, for children in need. The latest instalment of United's award-winning Good Leads the Way brand campaign tells stories in a unique United way about how the world's biggest airline creates all kinds of good for all kinds of people every single day. This chapter emphasises that United's network is designed around passengers to give them the greatest flexibility and options for travel worldwide. So there we go. Little festive story there to end the commercial news segment for this week there. And I'll tell you what, Nev, lucky kids. I'm jealous.
Very uplifting. Nice to end that section on a positive note rather than complaining about all the things that we complain about on the channel. So, great stuff.
Right, Nev, you've got the next part of the show to introduce, and fingers crossed, hopefully, I've fixed the audio gremlins, so hopefully these will work. Fingers crossed.
Let's
if not,
see how we go.
But carry on, Nev.
Of course, this is the section where we talk about the retro airline ad of the week. And I thought we would have run out by now, but there are so many. And good old Carlos finds them from all sorts of different sources. But this week it's a special treat, not just for you, the viewer and listener, but also for me, as we go back to 1979 and 1988, to a time when British Airways operated what was then the finest airline in the world. And then skip forward 9 years to the age of Concorde. For those looking on YouTube, does anyone know where the tracking button is on the VHS recorder? Here we go.
British Airways, we'll take more care of you.
Fly our wide-bodied TriStar 500 direct from Kingston to Nassau, Bermuda and London.
British Airways, we'll take more care of you.
British Airways Concorde, you are clear for takeoff.
Last year, more international passengers chose to fly with British Airways than with any other airline. In fact, last year, British Airways planes travelled over 150 million miles. That's further than from Earth to Mars and back. British Airways, the world's favourite airline.
There we go, Nev. What do you think of those two this week?
Oh, impressive, yes. Funnily enough, I've never been on a TriStar. I was trying to rack my brains, and I really haven't ever been on one. I've been on a DC-10, which is not a TriStar, I realise, but where I was stuck in the middle seat on I think it was a 353 configuration. I was right in the middle of the row of five, and that was on a 10-hour flight back from Dallas. Which is not a lot of fun, as you can imagine. In economy, in the days where
Shudder.
I had to fly. But yeah, the TriStar. I mean, well, in terms of the seat pitch and everything else, even in the economy sections, look pretty good, didn't it?
Yeah, there's some comments in the chat room, Nev. Do you want to take those ones about the airline ads?
Oh yes. I think Captain Crew says yes. The world's favourite airline. Remember that slogan now? Yes. David M says, I think the Advertising Standards Authority needs to look at the Concorde advert. Didn't quite make it into orbit, or maybe I'm wrong. No, I think the service ceiling was 60,000 feet on that aircraft. Richard Flagg says, used to work on RAF TriStars. Never got to fly on one, sadly. And Captain Crew says his first flight was an LTU TriStar in 1981.
Oh, yeah, LTU, yeah.
Richard Adams says, my second ever flight was on an RAF TriStar, a bit more comfortable than the outbound Hercules had been. Gosh.
Yeah, of course, for those of you who will probably know, obviously you can probably see behind me here with the TriStar models. But as most of you probably know, the BA ones, Nev, the TriStars that BA had with the Dash 500 versions, which were the kind of last TriStars that BA made, which were slightly shorter but had quite a longer range, distance fuel range, with more fuel on board. But they were the ones, Nev, that the Royal Air Force brought off BA, because they brought, I think it was 6 purchased from BA and 6 purchased from Pan Am. And they done a kind of half and half. Half were used for transport, and the other half were used for air-to-air refueling tankers.
Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And I seem to recall that. I mean, although I never flew one, I think the dispatch reliability was very good from these aircraft, wasn't it? And in service was very good.
Yeah. I will never forget my flight on the British Caledonian TriStar that I flew on as a child. That was I think it was Tunisia, all those moons ago, which is where my love of the TriStar started. I think it was that thing, Nev, where you, as a child, when you all sat in the centre section, obviously I didn't get the option to have seat 1A back then, and you had the centre section seats. I think it was five seats in the centre, and I was, as a child, I had all 5 to myself, and I just thought that was the best thing ever.
Gosh.
But, it's the sad thing, though, is as probably most of the listeners will know, there is literally one L1011 TriStar still flying in the world. No, that is it. All the rest of them are gone, sadly.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
The number that were in service.
When you think how many Delta had a huge fleet of TriStars.
Yeah.
And they're all since gone. There's a few bits of them laying up in here in the studio. But sad times. But anyway, right, moving on to Nev's favourite show. Do you want to introduce us, Nev, while I prepare?
Yes. Well, of course, this is the bit that I wait for every week. As you know, it's the military segment. So play the tape.
What's up, Bogies 13550, Angel 16, heading 340. Okay. Undersea Boogie.
So first one that kicks off this week from GloucesterShireLive.co.uk, and I think this is probably one that has been seen by our very own Jonathan Warner a few times, because it's happened on his doorstep. 4 huge US Air Force B-52 bombers leave RAF Fairford with a parting message. The roar of the B-52 bomber has been heard for a final time over Gloucestershire this year. The aircraft have returned home. 4 US Air Force B-52H Stratofortress aircraft left RAF Fairford on Friday last week after a successful bomber task force deployment. During their time in Europe, this recent deployment of B-52 units conducted a series of training missions with other US Air Force assets in the region and in multiple countries, including Finland, Sweden, Lithuania, Italy, Norway, and the UK and Czech Republic, and also Morocco. The deployment marked the historic milestone for this aircraft. As we know, it's a fairly old aircraft now, the B-52, but it performed perfectly with its military target exercise with 4th and 5th generation aircraft in the high north, and the US Air Force said in a statement. The deployed aircraft showcased the US Air Force's ability to integrate seamlessly with NATO allies and partners while demonstrating a strategic reach of US long-range strike capabilities. As the bombers return to their home station, the US Air Force said it will build on lessons learned from this deployment to prepare for the next Bomber Task Force deployment in 2025 and to further its commitment to bolstering international security, enhancing partnerships and advancing joint capabilities. And I think I remember seeing Mr. Warner post some pictures actually on social media of these of leaving Fairford. But having seen one of these up close and personal, very lucky to have seen one of these up close. And obviously, you can go and visit these at various museums across the globe as well. That's one thing we were talking earlier before we went live about places we need to go and visit in the world.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of US aviation museums that I very much would love to visit at some point in the not too distant future.
Yes. No, absolutely. And no, it's a fascinating. I mean, the B52. I mean, it doesn't get more classic or iconic than that, does it? Really?
No.
And bearing in mind how long they've been operating for, yeah, amazing.
Right, Nev, you have got the next story, and it's not only drones affecting commercial airliners, they also do annoy other people as well.
I know, and I mean, I can't even believe I'm reading this, but it's on the sky.com. It says drone sightings forced officials to close the airspace at one of the largest US Air Force bases in the world over the weekend. Drones flying around Wright-Patterson Air Force Base near Dayton, Ohio, led base officials to shut down the airspace for around 4 hours late on Friday and early into Saturday morning, a base spokesman has said. It's the first time drones have been spotted at the base, Robert Pertiman said. No sightings have been reported since early on Saturday, he added. He also said that the drones ranged in size and did not impact any base facilities, but would not say how many were flying in the area. It comes as police in Boston arrested 2 men accused of flying drones dangerously close to the city's Logan Airport on Saturday night. An officer using drone monitoring technology detected the aircraft and the location of the operators, authorities said. A 3rd man fled police and remains at large, they added. The 2 men face trespassing charges and could face more charges and fines. Boston police urged drone operators to adhere to federal safety guidelines in a post on social media, saying even small drones pose significant risk, including the potential for catastrophic damage to airplanes and helicopters. Well, I thought we weren't going to read any more of these stories out, but fancy flying them near a military base. I mean... Seriously?
You're just tempting fate, honestly.
Don't do that. Just unbelievable.
It's just not, yeah. Nick, you all right? Just checking you're still there.
Yeah, I'm just surprised, really, because it seems like, I mean, it's fair to say that, security can be very tight in the USA, and, they're certainly not afraid to flex their muscles, as it were, in terms of... how they police around secure establishments. I'm actually really surprised that this has been going on. I think I did hear a story on one of the other channels about something going on around New Jersey as well, that there'd been a lot of problems with drones there. It seems to be a bit of an epidemic of them in the States at the moment. So, it's very problematic. And obviously we had the incident a couple of years ago at Gatwick, didn't we? Which I don't think there was ever really truly a resolution to that, was there? So, unfortunately, where they are quite small, portable pieces of equipment, it's always going to pose a bit of a problem to police them, I suppose.
That was the biggest subject that we heard talked about at the Drone Summit, wasn't it, in March, if you remember, Carlos, when we're in Dublin. The amount of work that's going on with anti-drone technology and to protect the airspace and the airports and that kind of stuff. It's a massive subject, isn't it?
But it does happen. People do fly these things in silly ways and silly areas. I was so tempted to buy one earlier this year, and I decided against the idea in the end because I thought I'd probably end up crashing the thing anyway. But I think I'll stick to flight simming at home here. One last little story before we end the military segment. This obviously for the fans of the Royal Air Force. This comes for us from Royal Air Force's website. Training is started for 2 brand new Red Arrow training pilots for the 2025 display season. Flight Lieutenants Rob Thomas and Andrew McEwen have joined the Royal Air Force aerobatic team with 4 years of experience, or with years of experience of operating on the front line, including the Typhoon and F-35 jets. They'll now combine this background with developing precise formation flying skills as 2 of Red Arrow's 9 display pilots for next year's season. Training, as I said, is underway. at the team's home base of RAF Waddington in Lincolnshire. And Flight Lieutenant Thomas, who is originally from Mansfield, Nottinghamshire, will fly in the Red 2 position for 2025. He said on the Royal Air Force's website, when he found out that I'd been selected, he said as part of the team, he was incredibly pleased and couldn't wait to share the news with his family and friends. He's still very much buzzing. Looking forward, he said, to many aspects of the new role in the team, with the flying element and which is challenging and rewarding at the same time, and really excited at the prospect of meeting many people across the air shows in 2025. Flight Lieutenant Thomas previously flew the RAF's Typhoon aircraft on operations and exercises around the globe, including providing quick reaction alert to safeguard the skies in the UK and the Falkland Islands. And Flight Lieutenant McEwen, he is a former F-35B Lightning II pilot, and he's joining the Red Arrows in the 5th generation multi-role aircraft. And good luck to him, we say. It's always a privilege, I think, when you're asked to join the Red Arrows and join in with the team. So, 2 brand new members for next season, for the 2025 season. I think it's one of those things, isn't it, Nev, when you join the Royal Air Force as a fighter pilot, I wonder how many pilots who join the RAF here in the UK have that in the back of their mind, that one day, potentially, they would either want to or could possibly be chosen to join the Red Arrows.
Yeah, you're right. And can you imagine that the selection process must be so strict, and there's very, very few pilots get to experience that, to be in the displays. It's great, isn't it? I'm glad to see there's some more investment going on in that, because it's an important part of what we do, isn't it, in the UK?
Yeah.
That heritage and the stuff that goes with it. So, by the way, in the chat room, I just noticed Richard Flagg has offered to give you some drone lessons with his DJI Mini. So if you fancy meeting up and doing a bit of a video or something,
you may regret that, Richard. I would very much love to come and have a go. That would be very kind of you, Richard. That'd be nice to come and see what it's all about. For sure, and especially to see some of the sites that you do see and post on your site. So we'll sort something out there, Richard. You've got my contact. We'll get in touch. But yeah, that'll be quite exciting. My first time flying an actual drone. Woo, exciting times. So that wraps up the military news for this week on the show. So as it's our last live show before Christmas, as we said at the top of the hour, our last live show before Christmas, we are going to have a Christmas day off next week, because it'll be Christmas Day. So we're going to have the day off, aren't we, Nev? We're going to have a Christmas off this year. The following week, we're going to bring a best of clips show. We're going to put our heads together, the team. We're going to pick our best bits from 2024 and put those together for that episode then, which will hopefully have some feedback from you guys and girls in the chat room. If you fancy sending us a video, that would be absolutely awesome. Plus, it gives Matt loads more extra work to do, dropping videos in and stuff. I shouldn't say that, really. How nasty. But no, it'd be great to have some video feedback or audio feedback as well, if you want to send that as well via email. We'd much appreciate that, and we can pop that in on that show. But on that note, Nev, what have you got planned this festive season?
Well, due to operational circumstances changing somewhat, all of our original Christmas plans were cancelled, or have been cancelled. I was going to go down to Plymouth with Mrs. Nev to see some friends and have a nice Christmas lunch at the Marco Pierre White restaurant down there. As part of the Crown Plaza Hotel group. But even though I could drive that distance, the whole point of going down there was to do some walking, and that's we've canned that somewhat now. So we're going to do something a bit different. Do you remember, or do you know of the Miller and Carter steakhouses? There's one not far from where we live here in Aylesbury, and we're going to have Christmas lunch there on the Wednesday. Christmas Day itself. And then on the 27th, we're having my kids round and the grandkids as well for a bit of a buffet lunch. So I won't have to go very far. And I can see if I'd like to be back on the booze for a short time as well. So that would be quite nice. So, yeah, a lot of changes, obviously, because of my broken leg. But, I think, as Martin Brundle would say, you just have to take a sensible pill, don't you?
Have you found, Nev, that since you've had this injury, obviously David's got his your little grandson. Is there more babysitting duties being thrown your way as your
Not yet, but I think they've probably got something up their sleeve because they go, well, the old man's going to be incapacitated for at least another 3 weeks, so we can go out in the evenings and stuff like that. So why not? I don't mind.
Bless, excellent. And Nick, what about yourself? Obviously, you've got young ones, and I say young ones. Your kids are quite grown up, but you've still got obviously to do your usual glorious father Santa Clausy type thing this year.
Yeah, I need to go and do some Christmas shopping actually. So yes, I've been leaving it a little bit late, so need to crack on and get some shopping done. I think over the next couple of days, and then do the worst bit is wrapping it all. But as we all know, Die Hard is the best Christmas movie of all time. So yes, it's traditional to put that on while you're doing the wrapping.
Do you mean the first one in a Nakatomi, or do you mean Die Hard 2, which is actually based at an airport at Christmas time?
Well, arguably, I would say that number 2 is a better movie, but I do favour the sort of traditional original. So yeah, but
the internet is your friend, Nick, when it comes to presents. That company that many people use beginning with A, they do have an option to wrap the present for you, which is very good.
Yes, I do like the sound of that. Yes. Sadly, with my internet being down at home, it's sort of restricted my my internet browsing capabilities. So so I have to make the most of it this evening.
Richard E. Flagg is saying in the chat room that both Die Hard 1 and Die Hard 2 are both Christmas films.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There you go.
And what are you up to, Carlos? What are you doing?
Well, hopefully, and I do cross my fingers for this, on live on air, there we go, cross my fingers that my lovely wife Gemma will not get this wonderful COVID that I've had for the last week. Obviously, I'm clear now, but did have. So hopefully she'll be good for next week. I really do, because otherwise Christmas is going to be quite a sorrow affair here in the house. But all being well, I've got the mother and father-in-law over on Christmas Day, and my mum as well. So that'll be an interesting Christmas day with a table full of the usual food, far too much of it, no doubt, as well. Although I must admit, I haven't yet gone out and purchased a Christmas pudding for this Christmas day, so I need to go and do that, because Christmas pudding is the best thing ever made, I think, personally. But got that Christmas Day. And Boxing Day, friends over. And other than that, it's going to be a fairly relaxed Christmas, I think, this year. I think because we've got the boys, one of our tasks, which is coming up this weekend, is to let the boys out for the first time into that outside, which is out there, which I'm not going to lie, I'm not looking forward to.
Now, you may have mentioned this on the podcast before, but I've never heard you mention it. Did the names Dave and Nigel, were they based on British Airways pilot name?
No, funnily enough, I chose Dave because I just wanted a cat called Dave. I just think it's brilliant. And the vets find it incredibly amusing, because I think there's no other cats registered as Dave on the register. And Gemma chose Nigel, so her reasons behind that I don't know. You'd have to ask her. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they are captain and first officer material, both of them. I mean,
they're very sweet, aren't they? I mean, they really are. Yeah.
If I had to put Dave or Nigel into the positions, it would be Nigel in the captain's seat, because he's far more sensible and competent, whereas Dave's a bit more he's a bit more of a live wire as our Dave. But no, we're going to be letting those guys out hopefully this weekend, so that'll be a trying and testing time for us this weekend. I think, for sure. Okay. But other than that, New Year's Eve. I don't know what we do New Year's Eve. It's a few weeks off yet, but yeah. As we said earlier, we'd love to hear from you, the listener. If you want to send some feedback in, we can play it on our special show. That would be great. And Nev, for the benefit of those who want to send in or find out more about us and where to send their info, their feedback in, where can they do that?
Yeah, of course, you can go to all the socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram or LinkedIn. Just search for Plain Talking UK. You can email the show, podcast@plaintalkinguk.com, and the website, www.plaintalkinguk.com. And our YouTube channel, of course, is live, which is, if you're watching it now, you'll know where that is. You'll get notifications when we do go live. And you can just go to youtube.com and search for Plain Talking UK. We need to do some studio maintenance from time to time, as you may remember. So we rely quite heavily on your donations as well. So if you'd like to become a Patreon or just a PayPal donator, if you can afford to do so, then we'd be delighted to have you along. Just go to the website and all the details are on there. Coming up next year, well, we have our normal production meeting probably in January, where we sort of kind of shape out the year, what we're going to try and do and what have you. From my part, I shall be leaving full-time work second week of February next year, so I'm hoping that's going to give me a bit more time to do the more longer form interviews that we've not done for a while, and speaking with our chums at Grub Street Publishing, see if they can come up with some good people we can interview as well. So looking forward to doing some more of those, and of course air shows and whatnot next year as well.
Yeah, we will. As we say, we didn't have a Christmas show coming up next week, but we will be having a competition, as we always do for the special show at Christmas time. So we're going to have a New Year's show, a New Year's competition, I should say, in the new year to win an awesome prize. So more details on that when we come back with a fresh live show back in the new year. So yeah, that is about it. So we're going to wrap things up for this show tonight, episode 532. Can you believe it, Nev? 532.
It's too many. We need to
thin out. So a big thanks to everyone who's joined us in the YouTube chat room tonight. Thank you to you all for tuning in on this Wednesday evening. Much appreciated. Very much appreciated indeed. Also, big thanks to everyone who downloads the show as an audio podcast as well. Thanks to you. Much appreciated as well through all the various means that you download that through. Notice we've had quite a spike this week of downloads actually on the audio show, Nev, which is quite nice to see, like that. So yeah, big thanks to you all. And yeah, Nev, I'm going to leave you to take us out from the show. I'm going to plonk in some outro credits so I can get ready to play those, hopefully. But yeah, from me, Carlos here, thanks to everyone for joining us over the course of 2024. Thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. Everyone's help and all your donations as well to the show. It's been an absolute blast bringing you the shows every week. So yeah, over to you, Mr. Bounds.
And thank you again to Nick as well, because you put so much effort into us, into the show for us, Nick, and we're really grateful for all the things that you do. So I hope you have happy Christmas with you and the family as well.
Oh, thank you very much, Nev. Appreciate it. It's yeah, I do enjoy doing it, and yeah, I probably spend far too many hours on it than I should do, really. But yeah, yeah, we all seem to quite enjoy doing it, so we'll carry on into next year, eh?
Absolutely, and thank you again for all the effort you put into it. So
yeah, well done,
that's
Nick.
it from us for this time of year. So hope everybody has a very happy Christmas for those who celebrate, and we look forward to being back with a live show on New Year's Day. In the meantime, bye for now.
And there we go.
That's it.
That's it.
Gosh. Hasn't this year gone quickly?
Has gone quick,
Has anybody else noticed that? Or is it just me getting a bit older? I don't know.
No, it's not. It's been a funny year, quick year, and a lot has gone on this year. It's been one of those years. Hopefully, with you obviously retiring, Nev, and me not having the business to run next year from the start of the year, will open up things to be a lot more freer.
Yeah, definitely. And I always look forward to doing new things as well. As I say, because we've all been so busy with work and travelling, that does restrict us a bit. But I think we've got some good ideas in the can for next year as well. So, hopefully we'll be able to do some of those and do some new things as well.
Yeah. You right there, Nick?
Yeah, I was going to say, Nev, do you think the company's going to be wringing their last little bit out of you as in the new year?
Well, yeah, it's possible because obviously I've not been able to travel for the last 3 weeks, and I won't be for the next 3 weeks either. So I'm sure they will make sure that I do my job properly and bring in all the business I can between now and when I leave. Of course, the other thing I've got to be ready for is the big show that we do in Barcelona, which is 4th to the 7th of February. That's a big show which requires a lot of standing up as well. So I want to make sure I'm fit for that. We have got some very nice seats and a bar as well, and a coffee area. So I might be spending more time in that area than normal, possibly. But then, then my last day is the last day of the show. On the Friday, and then I come home on the Saturday, and that will be it. I'll hand in my phone and my laptop and everything.
That's the way to go out, isn't it?
So we should have a good time. But I've got to say, I mean, the company I work for, they have been brilliant with my current situation, but also over the last 5.5 years that I've been working there. It's such a lot of fun. It's hard work, but we have a good laugh as well, and it's been really great. So I'll miss my chums definitely, but I'm sure we'll keep in contact over the socials and what have you. So yeah.
I bet I know one thing you won't miss, Nev. The exhibitions.
Well, funny you should say that. I do quite like them as long. Well, we're very fortunate. We've got a very big trade show team. So for the big events that we do, for the Infocom show, for example, in the US, which alternates between Las Vegas and Orlando, and then this one in Barcelona, all we have to do as the sales team is turn up, basically, which is great. But for those smaller regional shows where you're carrying lots of gear in your car, setting it all up and what have you, there's quite a lot to it sometimes, yeah. But I don't mind doing them, actually. But as I'm getting a little bit older, those steps are becoming a bit more challenging, and trying to make sure I find my footing correctly on the pavement when it's icy as well. But yeah, I was... those leather shoes, by the way, I'm going to donate to charity because I'm not wearing them again. They are bad news. We are not, and they're not that old either. So I'm just going to donate them to our local charity for someone who wants a pair of size 10 UK size leather shoes.
Oh my word!
There we go.
So have you ended up with a big pot on the leg then, Nev?
A big what? Sorry.
A big pot on your leg.
No, I have got this item here.
Look at that!
Okay. You got the boot. Right.
That is stylistic.
Yeah. Good tread, actually. I think the fellas at Quick Fit will be impressed with that. But yes, that's. I'm just giving it a bit of a rest at the moment because it's a bit clumsy. I mean, they did ask me last Friday, would I like a cast put on it? I'm going, I don't think I do, actually. If you're okay with me using the boot thing, then that's fine. So I've just take it off occasionally. It's towards the end of the day that it starts aching a bit, to be honest with you. But and I do wear it in bed as well, which is a bit of a comedy moment. As you can imagine, trying to get the duvet over it. Looks like some sort of tent. I
guess the risk is that you could sort of turn over in bed and sort of twist it or something like that.
Yes, I'd certainly know.
I was more worried about Mrs. Nev.
Well, in fact, breaking news, she has exited the main bedroom and gone into the other bedroom temporarily, not just because of that, but because she's coughing away with residual from the norovirus business that went on a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah. But it's getting there. But when they say it's 6 to 8 weeks, I think it probably really is, isn't it? Because I'm halfway through it now, and I feel as though I'm sort of halfway fixed. But of course, it's not just the 6 to 8 weeks, and they do say that you can get continued swelling and pain between 3 and 6 months afterwards as well. But I'm hoping it won't be that bad. But you've got to do your exercises and. In my case, inject myself with the blood thinning injections. I was going to do a live demo on the show actually, just before you joined, Nick. I wanted, we could have gained some listeners and lost a few as well. Probably.
Richard Adams is saying in the chat room, Nev, you've given her the boot.
Yes. Well observed there, sir. Well
very
observed.
good. Very good.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, there we go.
There we go, everyone, guys and girls. Right, we're gonna. I'm gonna go and cough my way through the house and wake everyone up. Honestly, it's the worst. The whole runny nose, stuffy, bunged up, feeling head coldy and achy and stuff like that was. I would have that again for a week over this bloomin' cough. Yeah, honestly, the worst thing ever.
Yeah, don't blame you.
But yeah, right, that's it. We're going to say goodbye to our gorgeous chat room people then, Nev. So from me, thank you for everyone for tuning in on the show this week again, and for tuning in all through the year. Thanks everyone, and yeah, thanks for all your support, everyone. As I said earlier, thanks for all your support over the 2024, and hopefully we can have a good, successful 2025. So yeah. Any last words from you, Nick?
Yeah, like you say, thanks to everybody for supporting us. Really, it's we do put quite a bit of time into this, believe it or not, and yeah, it's really appreciated that we do have so many regular supporters of the show. And as I try and plea most weeks when I come on, do send us your feedback. So send us your emails, send us your videos, send us your audio messages, whatever it is, and maybe you've got a sort of favorite story or a favorite part of something that's happened this year that you'd like us to put in the review show. So yeah, let us know. Yeah. Keep in touch. Send us your stories.
Right, do you want to say goodbye, Nev? And I shall cut the stream.
Yes,
as they
indeed.
say.
Well, again, just reiterating what the fellas have said. Thanks ever so much for joining. Hope everybody has a marvellous Christmas and some time off with the family, a bit of a rest, hopefully as well. We'll be back on Wednesday week. For some more fun and excitement. So hope you have a great time, and bye for now.